The little girl's screams sliced through the empty school hallway just seconds before the first man hit the floor. Nobody expected the quiet janitor, the single dad who kept his head down, cleaned floors, and avoided attention, to move like a trained shadow. Nobody knew the past he'd buried. But when 5 armed men came for his daughter, everything he tried to forget exploded back into life. By the time the Admiral and his wife arrived, nothing in that school, or in this father's world, would ever be the same again. Ethan Hale moved through Jefferson Middle School with the quiet rhythm of a man who didn't want to disturb the world around him. His mop glided across the hallway with steady strokes, the soft squeak echoing through the after-hours silence. To most teachers he was just Mr. Hale, the humble janitor with tired eyes and a gentle smile. But to his daughter Lily, he was everything, her hero, her comfort, her only family. Every day at 3 p.m., Lily ran into his arms, hair bouncing, backpack swinging, telling him every detail of her school life. And every day Ethan pretended the world was simple, safe, predictable. He worked 2 jobs, slept too little, and carried more scars inside than anyone knew. All he wanted was to give Lily a childhood untouched by the violence he once lived in. Tonight, though, she stayed late for choir rehearsal, and Ethan used the quiet time to finish cleaning the east wing. The sun had already dipped behind the parking lot. By the time he finished the last classroom, he checked the clock. 6:42 p.m. Lily should have been done by now. But she hadn't come to him. He shrugged it off at first. Maybe rehearsal ran long. Maybe her teacher kept her. Maybe Lily was with her friend Emma. Anything was possible. Then he heard it. A shoe scuff. Muffled voices. A metallic click. Ethan froze. It wasn't the sound that bothered him. It was what came after, the distinct rhythm of boots spreading out, moving with intention. He whispered to himself, "Not again, please not again." His instincts, the ones he'd buried under years of janitor work, fatherhood, and forced normalcy, flared awake. Without making a sound, he set down the mop and moved toward the choir hall. He wasn't running. He wasn't panicking. He was calculating. He reached the corner when Lily's voice shot through the hallway. "Hi." Terrified. "Daddy, Daddy, please stop them!" Ethan's heart detonated. He didn't think. He moved. 5 men in tactical gear surrounded the doorway, blocking the entrance to the choir room. One held a hand over Lily's mouth while her choir teacher knelt on the floor zip-tied and shaking. Lily's eyes locked on Ethan, pleading, screaming without a sound. Something inside him snapped. The first man didn't even see him coming. Ethan's elbow collided with his throat in one precise strike, dropping him instantly. Before the others could turn, Ethan grabbed the man's weapon, disassembled it with terrifying efficiency, and used the barrel to knock out the second. The third tried to draw his gun. He never made it. Ethan slammed him into the wall, knocking him cold. The fourth and fifth rushed him at the same time, but Ethan moved like flowing water, controlled, surgical. One sweep, one throw, one punch, one joint lock, and 2 more men hit the floor. The entire fight lasted less than 20 seconds. Lily ran to him, sobbing, burying her face into his chest as he held her so tightly he was afraid he might break her. "Daddy, who are they? Why did they want me?" He didn't know how to explain what scared him more, that they came for his daughter, or that he knew exactly what kind of men they were. And that meant only one thing: the past he tried to escape had finally found him. Before he could answer, footsteps thundered down the hall. Heavy. Purposeful. Official. The doors burst open. 2 high-ranking officers stormed in, the revered Navy Admiral James Caro and his wife, Rear Admiral Sarah Caro. They froze at the scene, 5 unconscious men, a terrified girl, and Ethan standing protectively in front of her with eyes that didn't belong to a janitor. The Admiral took one look at Ethan and whispered in shock, "Hale? It can't be. You're alive." Ethan closed his eyes. Everything he ran from had arrived. The school went into lockdown within minutes. Sirens wailed outside, but inside the hallway, everything felt suspended in time. The admirals didn't move closer. They approached Ethan as if approaching a ghost. Sarah Caro's voice trembled, something he had never heard from the legendary woman who commanded fleets. "Ethan, why didn't you tell anyone you survived the mission?" He didn't answer. His grip tightened around Lily's shoulder. She clung to him with both hands, her small fingers trembling. "Daddy, what's happening? Why do they know you?" James Caro stepped forward, removing his cap, revealing a grief Ethan had once shared. "Because, Lily, your father wasn't always a janitor." Ethan swallowed. "Stop. She doesn't need to hear." "Ethan," Sarah cut in. "5 men just tried to kidnap your daughter. She deserves to know why." He felt the weight of every mistake pressing onto him. Every secret. Every night he stayed awake watching the door, hoping this day would never come. He knelt to Lily, brushing her hair back gently. "Sweetheart, there are things I never wanted in your life. Things from before you were born. Bad things." She looked up at him, eyes wide, trusting. "But you saved me." "Yes," he whispered. "I'll always save you." Sarah took a step closer, speaking softly. "Lily, your father was one of the most skilled covert operatives this country had. He saved countless lives. But during a classified mission, the world was told he died. It was the only way to keep him and everyone he loved safe." Ethan's jaw tightened. "And I stayed dead. I wanted a peaceful life. I wanted to raise her away from the shadows." James nodded slowly. "But someone found out you're alive. These men tonight, they weren't kidnappers. They were extraction agents from the very organization you broke away from." Lily gasped. "They wanted to take me?" Ethan pulled her closer. "Yes. To force me back." Silence filled the hallway. Then James said what Ethan feared most. "They won't stop, Hale. Not after tonight. You can't hide anymore." Ethan rose, staring down at the unconscious men. "I can fight. I proved that. But you can't fight an entire network alone," Sarah replied. "You need protection. You need allies. I need peace," Ethan growled. "I need my daughter safe. That's all." Lily tugged on his shirt. "Daddy, I don't want you to fight. I just want you." Her voice broke him. He had lived through wars, lost friends, survived missions that should have killed him, but nothing hurt like hearing fear in his daughter's voice. James stepped forward, placing a steady hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Let us help you. Not as admirals, but as people who owe you. You saved our lives years ago. Let us repay that." Ethan looked into Lily's eyes, her innocence, her trust, her belief in him. He realized he couldn't run anymore. Not from his past, not from the danger, not from the truth. He exhaled slowly. "All right. But on one condition." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Name it." Ethan stood tall, no longer a janitor hiding in plain sight. "I choose the battlefield. And I protect my daughter my way." James nodded. "Then we start tonight." But Lily squeezed Ethan's hand and whispered, "Daddy, promise you won't leave me." He knelt again, cupping her face gently. "I'm not going anywhere, baby. I'm done running." As he stood between the admirals and his daughter, surrounded by unconscious enemies, the truth settled over him. He was a father before anything. But when danger came for Lily, the warrior inside him awakened. And this time, he would fight not for orders, not for flags, but for the only thing that ever truly mattered. His little girl.